While the Compliance Champions League is on its way, we are joined by our collaborators, BSE Limited, in bringing you a special take on the small and medium enterprise sector that has supported the Indian economy through the pit of the pandemic. I would like to introduce our chairman, Mr. Arun Kulkarni, as the moderator for this panel that dwells into the depths of the SME challenge, as well as highlights the key strategies for the future. Joining him is Mr. Ajay Thakur, Head BSE SME Listing, Mr. Anand Sherkhane, Additional Development Commissioner at the Ministry of MSME, and Mr. Vinod Kumar, President India SME Forum.
Namaskar, I'm Arun Kulkarni. I'm inviting you to join this very important panel discussion, which is the SME in India and the opportunities which is going to throw for the Indian economy. We have a panel of experts coming with rich experience in this area. The introduction has already been done to you. Their views would be extremely important to us, and my role as a moderator, I am actually going to facilitate the discussion. However, the time moderation, etc., I'll be doing it, but the speakers will be allowed to speak as much as possible. To begin with, SME, as in any other country in India, plays a very important and constitutes very critical part of the Indian economy. It has been spread into rural India as well as urban India. It has been there since independence, and the focus has been on MSME. The definitions have been changed from earlier, from the investment to now into the turnover point because of various difficulties which the authorities are finding at the time of finalization. However, before the pandemic, what they call a purchasing managers index fell from 52%, from 52 to 24, which was a rude shock to the economy. Economy is already in a sliding state. This impacted MSME the most. During the lockdown, it affected further. Mr. Anand would be actually giving you more about the statistics of how MSME is in India, how is it spread, what are the nuances of forming an SME, what kind of a profile the SME entrepreneurs have. But however, I will just at a macro level, just to give the story going further, I would just like to give some brief, these are approximate numbers, not exact numbers I'm saying. As the report says, in India today, there are almost about 6.4 crores units, and there are quite a few which are unregistered, which are not in this count of 6.4. In terms of employment, both put together in rural and urban, almost about 11 crore people are engaged. They get gainful employment, and in terms of the revenue, or in terms of the generation of the income which they have done is almost 33% in all. That is manufacturing, trade, and the services. During the pandemic, which hit, the whole world was taken by surprise. It was thought to be a normal flu with no protocols of treatment and no vaccines in light. All governments were just trying to work with something that was available with them. What affected most was in this whole process the MSME sector in India. It is evident from the fact that thousands and thousands of migrant workers had to move from one place to the other. Further, to add to that, they don't have much cushion as bigger industry guys have. This is all, I'm explaining this because what kind of a state these guys are going through. It is also said that one of the reports from the MSME department itself says that the credit gap is almost to the extent of 25 trillion Indian rupees, which is almost about 26 lakhs crores. That is the gap that we have with this industry. And this industry facing competition from the cheaper materials that is being imported from the other countries, plus the technology issues. And the other issues is the financial issues which they are facing today. Government has been trying to do a lot of things there. RBI has opened up credit lines for them, but there are ground difficulties which we will discuss during the course of discussions from the panels. So this is the state of MSME today. These guys are struggling, and if we don't do it immediately, something, even if the COVID goes, there would be impact on the industry, there would be impact on the employment, there would be impact on the demand generation. So much more to be spoken by experts. I request Mr. Anand first to take up and briefly tell us about what is SME in India and what is the composition of SME in India.
I'm very happy to be on this particular platform to share the problems that the MSME sector is undergoing, given the fact that the entire the global economy is faced with the COVID pandemic. Coming to some facts and figures of the MSME ecosystem in India, you're absolutely right. It's close to 6.4 crore MSMEs in India. Bulk of them are micro, almost 97% are falling under that bracket. And mostly those are in the unorganized economy. And if you look at the manufacturing contribution, I mean, it really MSMEs contribute bulk of it. 45% of is the contribution. And if you look at the export, even that figure seems to be quite reasonable in terms of its number. It's 40%. Likewise, the overall GDP contribution from MSME sector is close to 37-38%. Now, and if you talk about the employment, I mean, it's almost 12 crore people are being supported by the MSME sector. Now, this when the definition was changed, obviously this entire figures would change as we move on. But more importantly, the problems that are being faced today are quite serious given the COVID pandemic. All these MSME sectors are facing the problems of labor availability, the credit, as you have spoken rightly. There's a huge demand, but there isn't the kind of ecosystem that we have, which is able to take care of the financial requirement of these MSMEs. For various reasons, there could be on account of them not being credit worthiness, not being compliant of various laws of the land. Likewise, there are demand problems, and more importantly, the competition, cheap imports that happen in India, and they have to really go through a tough competition. And in such times, it's really survival has become a critical aspect. Then there are, infrastructure bottlenecks. There is a value chain distortions, the upward and downward value chain distortions. So, in the nutshell, the MSME sector is really at crossroads, and there is a need for giving the real push in terms of policy prescriptions and programs of the government. So this is my initial response as regards the status of the MSME sector in India.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks very much. And as you rightly says, if 37% of the GDP comes from this sector, one cannot really ignore the importance of it. I would now go to Vinod and request him to give his perspective, as he is seeing millions of people around, and then he has been interacting with the entrepreneurs and founders. What is their take in this whole thing today? Are they feeling they're less important today, or they are left out in the economy? Please give your thoughts.
Thank you, Arun. Mr. Sherkhane actually did talk about the entire overview of the MSME sector. When it comes to looking at entrepreneurs and what they think today, I think there are a couple of very important points. The first point is that traditionally as a country, we have been a country which has primarily been waiting for our entrepreneurs to fail. Now, I might shock a few people by that statement, but the fact is that, our entire society, we are not open to the fact that entrepreneurs can make it big and can be successful and, can employ millions of people and so on and so forth. That's how we've been as a traditional society, as a socialist society. We want equal distribution of riches and everything else. Now, when you're looking at at a situation like that, from there till now, if you factually look at it, we talk about, Mr. Anand Sherkhane just talked about the fact that, we have very cheap imports coming into India. Now, why is that happening? Now, I think we deserve certain introspection in the fact that when we are talking about imports, all of these guys that are primarily doing imports were at some point in time or the other entrepreneurs. And they may have been manufacturers, and they, over the last 25, 30 years, decided that manufacturing is not the right option in India, especially when you are in the micro or small or medium sector. Because you got a million problems when you are manufacturing a product. So they felt it was easier to actually buy something from outside and or from China, from Taiwan, from Korea, from all over the world, and bring it to India. And to their surprise, I presume, what they must have figured out is it's easier to import anything into India rather than export. Because if it was a normal importer in India today, for example, all the importer needs to do is get an IEC code, which is an import-export code, and then apply, get the product in, and then apply that, okay, this is the duty I have to pay, and pay the duty and get the product out and sell to whoever he wants. Now compare that to an exporter or a manufacturer. The guy has to go through a million problems. Right from setting up his business, approvals required for that, licensing required for that, compliances which he has to do, a million compliances in HR, labor, ROC, income tax. It's unending. Unending when you compare this to any developed economy. And I genuinely feel this, that when it comes to India as a country, we are not very conducive to actually allowing entrepreneurs, come to the forefront and, support them. The entire system that we have sort of defeats the very purpose the entrepreneur is wanting to come out and set up an enterprise, because he wants to offer employment. And if we fail to understand that this guy is going to offer employment, and which is the need of the hour, then I don't know what's going to happen. I feel, after 25, 30 years, there's somebody in the Prime Minister who came and said, okay, I'm going to look at a Make in India. So I'm going to get others to make in India, and I'm going to look at, how can we ourselves make in India rather than, importing from India. And this was way back when he joined in the first term. Very wise move, considering the fact that, we were importing more than we should have. Oil imports in the past 25, 30 years, we've become completely dependent on all Southeast Asian economies who sell oil to us, from a point of time where we were actually self-sufficient completely. So in every sphere you find that. Now that is years and years of degradation in the condition, the ecosystem for entrepreneurs, and where we are factually seeing that some of them are going really big and some of them are just dying. Our dying rate is much higher than normal anywhere else in the world. Now compare this to a country like New Zealand, for example, which is way high up in the ease of doing business. What you figure out is you can set up a company in one day. It takes you 1 day only in a year to complete all your compliances. Everything is online, right from filing your returns to your taxation. Even if you want to shut down the company, it will take you 1 day. Now, in India, what happens is you have a situation where you have the federal government, the central government, and then you have the states. Now, industry is a state subject. It's not a central subject. So anything that you've got to do with the states, in a state, whether it's manufacturing, setting up an office, a commercial premise or an enterprise, you have to work with the states. Now, anything that we might say on the central level, majority of the states, except maybe a few that you can, count on your fingertips, do not have a conducive ecosystem, and that's the truth. And with that, when COVID came, it made life very, very difficult for all of us. Primarily because you already had a lot of other problems that you were supposed to handle, and then you're left with a situation where you can't pay salaries, you don't have money, and to even those that you can pay salaries, you can't get them into your premises to continue production or work. You have a situation with your entire supply chain. You cannot open your unit. Because even when the government said, please go ahead and open, and if you are not in, these areas that they call, which are affected by the pandemic, on the other hand, what you had was a situation where the state said, no, you can't open it here. The local administration said, no, you can't open it. You'll infect more people. So we are in a situation, we're at a crossroads, where the entrepreneur actually factually does not know what the hell is he up to. Because the central government says something, the state government says something. There's a huge lag between what we mean to do and what is actually happening on the ground. I think that gave us a fair picture of, in my mind, of my perspective, of what the situation is for the Indian entrepreneur today.
I fully agree with what Vinod has stated. But if you look at the last few years, I think we have made quite a progress.
Yes.
In this area, and look at the ease of doing business. I certainly agree that yes, we have not reached that stage of one day, and you get all your clearances and you are able to register and start operating your company. That I'm sure we aspire to be one of those, but certainly the ease of doing. If you look at the ratings, we have quite improved upon it. So that was a quick response that I wanted to. But the other thing I wanted to touch upon is the enterprise development. It's not that the enterprise development wasn't there in the entire ecosystem of MSME. There was, but we have not been doing the kind of entrepreneurship development or enterprise development which Vinod is talking about. Yes, we are now under MSME taking up a ADB project. We are going to strengthen the MSME ecosystem, and a project is being envisaged wherein we are going to create that ecosystem and develop the network of enterprise development centers all across. Initially, those would be at the district level. And thereafter, if the need is felt, then we would go down to the block level.
We'll take over this point at a little later kind of a thing, because I think perhaps what Anand was trying to mention is, although the things have begun, but the speed is not enough. And on ground, there are difficulties, and typically, as he rightly said, our mindset is not to be an entrepreneur. Our mindset is to do job for somebody, and that has been a core issue. Want to play safe, etc. Now, I would like to go to. We would like to now talk about the SME platform, and there cannot be any better person than Ajay to talk, because he's almost a pioneer in this kind of a thing. So I may request him to speak more about why the SME exchange came in, and how are the approaches from the people? Are the people responding to it well? And the other requirements which are, because moment you have an exchange, there is a regulated bodies. So our people, as just Vinod said, that people don't want to get into those. How was the response? Are they positive in coming back? What are the numbers of people who have come? Ajay, please take on.
As far as SME platform of BSE is concerned, is the part of BSE itself. We have two different segments. One is SME and startup. If you see the journey of BSE, it is the oldest stock exchange in Asia, much before the Tokyo Stock Exchange, 145 year in existence, and this is the 146th year. In fact, we have a lot of time and again, all the entrepreneurs to get it listed. The reason being is that, as Mr. Anand has also mentioned, you have also mentioned, and Vinod ji has also mentioned that, in India, most of these SMEs have, like to be in the informal sector rather to go in the formal sector for various reasons. So over the time, we would have loved that more and more companies get listed, whether they are small companies, medium companies, or large companies. These small and medium companies can transform themselves. And that's how in last so many years, we have seen the companies like Reliance, Infosys, Wipro, Dr. Reddy, many other companies, which got listed on BSE when they were very small, and they have transformed themselves into large corporates. But over the times, because of various risks that got associated with the stock exchange, we have tightened the rules and regulations on the stock exchange. And over the time, it became difficult for, small and medium enterprises to get listed onto the stock exchange. So, there was representation made to the Prime Minister in 2009-10 to create a framework for the small and medium companies so that they can raise funds by diluting their equity. And so one stock exchange should be in place. And therefore, in 2010, the Prime Minister Task Force, headed by the then Principal Secretary, Mr. Nair, has recommended that there should be a platform, there should be exchange for the small and medium enterprises, and requested to SEBI to frame the guidelines. So the guidelines has come in the month of May 2010. And accordingly, SEBI has also made an amendment into the ICDR guidelines and requested the stock exchange to form this SME platform. So we were understanding the equity culture. We were knowing how much equity funding is important for the enterprises, and therefore we became the first stock exchange, not only to get approval from the Security Exchange Board of India, but we also became the first stock exchange to launch the SME platform on 13th March 2012. Now, as everybody has rightly said that, most of the entrepreneurs tend to or like to be in the informal sector because of the fear of compliances. And the same fears were existing in the minds of the small and medium entrepreneurs when we were approaching to them to get listed onto the stock exchange. So initially, it was very difficult journey. We were not getting either the merchant banker or the promoter who were ready to get listed onto the stock exchange. We have done lots of seminars. In fact, BSE has done 22 awareness program across the country to all type of cities. You talk about tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 cities. Everywhere we have gone. Even in this lockdown period, we have done almost 80 to 85 webinars. So we are trying to, reach to these entrepreneurs to get listed and, grow them by raising the equity funds. To reduce the fear of these small and medium enterprises, in fact, the compliance requirement has been relaxed. Much more than what is existing on the main board of the stock exchange. Instead of quarterly compliance here, we have reduced to half-yearly compliance. We have also done away with publishing it into the newspaper. We are telling the promoters they have to file only half-yearly results, and that also they have to file with the stock exchange. They put it onto the website. They don't have to publish it into the newspaper. So this way, post-listing compliances have been reduced so that more and more promoters should come, get their company listed onto the stock exchange, be the part of the formal sector, and contribute to the GDP of the country, contribute to the employment in the country, and contribute to the growth of the country. Let me tell you, in last 6-7 years since the day we launched the SME platform, the first 2-3 years were very difficult, very challenging. But in last 4-5 years, what we have seen, a lot of SMEs have came forward to get themselves listed. Till now, as far as BSE is concerned, we have got 328 companies, but both the stock exchange together have got almost 500 companies listed on their platform. These companies have raised almost 6,500 crore rupees from the capital market, and the combined market capitalization on the SME platform is 35,000 crores. And besides that, almost 100 companies have migrated onto the main board of the stock exchange. There are lots of very good examples, whereby we have seen these small and tiny companies got transformed into mid-sized company, and their profitability has multiplied. So this is the main purpose for all of us, that how the SMEs can leverage on all sorts of funding, both debt funding, equity funding, and besides that, government is there to help this company to grow further. We want many large corporates, because in India, let me tell you, if we compare to the developed countries, India has the lowest number of large corporates. And we all know that unless and until the companies get listed onto the stock exchange, they can't grow big. So that's our effort, that more and more companies should join the bandwidth of the large corporates and contribute to the growth of the nation. I think Anand ji and Vinod ji will be in a better position to contribute in that, that even the government shift has moved towards this side. Recently they have also created a fund of funds, and they are also suggesting the companies, the small and medium enterprises, to get listed onto the stock exchange. So I am seeing a very bright future in the times to come, though there may be various views and divergent views on this. But if you see India as a country, we have been ruled by, foreigners for almost 400 years. And we were totally a bankrupt country in 1947. And from there to reach this level is really remarkable. I am telling you, really remarkable. And the government is also trying to relax a lot of regulatory compliance norms. And I'm quite sure that this will contribute to the growth of this SME and to the growth of the nation.
Thanks very much for this insight, and it's very wonderful to hear that almost 500 companies have listed in last 7 years, and which shows that our culture is moving towards equity culture. Having said that, now let me, since you touched upon the finances, and since the issue of financing etc. has come, one of the allegation or one of the impression created by media or the otherwise is government came with a lot of reforms, but they were more administrative and more regulatory. In terms of finances, nothing much has happened, although they must be happening. And the CIBIL report, recent CIBIL report says that there are almost about 2 lakhs crores are going towards NPA. Which means they are not able to pay the banks, and banks will have this issue. Although Reserve Bank has opened credit lines and they are saying you can take at a lower interest with no much conditions, etc. Why are the people still not going ahead and taking this advantage which government has been, RBI has been giving? We will talk about, we'll go to Anand about what the government has actually the fiscal reforms which they have been doing, or the benefits which they are giving. We shall hear about that. But what's your view when you interact with so many entrepreneurs? Why are they still shy to go to banks and take the money? Is that the RBI guidelines have not been reaching completely to banks, and therefore banks are not giving? What is the issue?
There are two primary things that you touched, sir. The first was that whether the government initiatives are in the right line. Now, let me share this. I did touch upon this in my earlier instance, where I talked about the fact that Mr. Modi was the first prime minister to actually look at the fact that we have signed various treaties in the past so many years, and he decided that he's not going to sign the new treaty, which was with again other Southeast Asian countries, including China. He also brought in the Make in India. What was Make in India all about? It was all about creating an ease of doing business in this country. He brought about Atmanirbhar Bharat. Now, what is Atmanirbhar Bharat all about? How is it that we can look after our own needs and thereafter also export to other countries? And by first being vocal for local, pushing local produce, pushing local manufacturers. Now, every step that the government has talked about, the head of the government has talked about, is completely in sync with what the government should do and what the entrepreneurs want. It is the slip between the cup and the lip. That's the big other side of the problem. Now let's look at all of the things that have happened. Atmanirbhar Bharat, then you have Ayushman Bharat. What is Ayushman Bharat all about? It's creating multiple billions of dollars worth of opportunity for creating a healthcare sector which is completely doable by Indians itself, whether in medical devices, whether in pharma, whether in hospitality, hospital infrastructure. All of that can be done from within this country. But today we are dependent on a host of countries for a lot of our imports, even in pharma. And then, you look at major cities, we don't have proper hospital care facilities. We have number of beds outnumber. If you look at parking slots compared to number of hospital beds that we have more parking slots than hospital beds, especially for situations like these. So we've never thought about all these things because we said, it's all okay. But this government has been the first government which actually thought about all this and said that we are going to put these into place. But for it to now get to every part of India and every Indian will take time. And it is incumbent on all of us, each one of us that are working in sectoral organizations, business management organizations, the government, the media, for us to actually take this message to each and every person. Because essentially, where is the slip? The slip is primarily wherein whatever is being talked in bills, is being talked in government circles, is not reflecting on the ground. That is where is the slip. Now, when we talk about financing, let me share this, that all the funds that were made available, it was not possible for an entrepreneur to just go ahead and take another loan and pay salaries of his people when he himself was not sure what is going to happen 6 months, 8 months, 9 months down the line. By and by, a lot of people have taken up this offer under the ELGS of the extended, 20% of whatever was due on February 28th. So when you look at how much offtake has been, why don't we look at Mudra? I mean, the numbers of accounts in Mudra that we have opened they're all either self-help groups or self-employed women or self-employed men. That is the number that we've added in terms of. So when we talk about 6 crore MSMEs, that figure is grossly off the mark, because if you look at the last 7 or 8 years, the number of Mudra beneficiaries that we have added, who are all self-employed or enterprises, that the number should go to anywhere between 12 to 13 crores. But a lot of them did not have options at this current time. And the government, I'm not sure what the government can do. The other very important thing that I want to appeal to all the viewers is, when you go out every day, the least we can do is support a small entrepreneur. Let's not only look at what we can spend in terms of, our base essentials. Let us also look at how can we empower every person around us. Being socialist in nature or in just on paper is fine. But when we have to be socialist when it comes to actually looking at the potter next door who is making stuff, who is unable to sell. People who are making garments, unable to sell. People who run shops, unable to sell. There's millions of people who don't have means of livelihood at this point in time. We were talking about this internally a couple of days back. There's 11 lakh women in India today who used to run beauty clinics and beauty shops and all that, and salons for women. They don't have any means of livelihood anymore. So, but a lot of them have become, India SME Forum has taken this on itself to actually support women like these with alternatives of other work, or figuring out how they can actually reach out their service to people. Now that is the sort of resilience Indian people have, and we'll get out of this. I don't think this is a permanent thing which will last forever. It is just for, I think all of us are waiting for the time when Indians will come out and start shopping again. That is how the economy will revive automatically.
What Vinod mentioned is right, and there are good ideas and which are not percolating down, and that's what I said. The perception in the public mind is, my query to you is it really happening on the ground? And then if you could elaborate as to what has been the government's fiscal plans that were declared, the rehabilitation plan which were declared, and how much has been really reaching. And because there are too few things I must just mention to you, because I'm also a SME member. What we find is we are clogged with we are choked with the receivables which are not coming from the our credit from our debtors. And many times it so happens that there are PSUs and the government bodies itself. So in that case, what happens is government thinking of doing anything on that front? I know there is a portal which is there, but as entrepreneurs, we are scared to go to offend the customer and going and complaining to MSME. The MSME Act provides 18% interest to be charged, etc. But we are not doing it because we are worried whether customer will not like it. Is government doing something on that front so that there is an ease of capital, working capital, and the business would be handled very easily?
Well, Arunji, before I respond to your query with respect to the payments which are stuck up in the system and causing the financial health of these MSME go down, just quickly respond to Ajayji's efforts on trying to bring micro and small and medium enterprises on the SME platform. He is really doing wonderful service to the nation and to the MSME sector in particular. I'm sure with the advent of this FOF fund, which is meant for the infusion of equity and quasi-equity in the MSMEs, and also preparing these MSMEs to be to list on the stock exchanges in India. So we have created a never before, I'll tell you. This is a 50,000 crore fund which has been created. This fund would be is called as a mother fund. It would have very daughter funds in various sectors of the economy, and they would prepare the MSMEs to go and list themselves, and entire hand-holding would be done, and then the second part is infusing the equity itself in these firms. So this is the biggest step that the government of India has taken in recent times, and I think that if it goes well, I'm sure the MSMEs would really flourish. And the way the government is thinking about creating the India as a manufacturing hub, I'm sure that would turn out to be true one day. Coming back to your question of delayed payments, the government is very keen and very serious about the outstanding, more particularly when the enterprises are faced with the pandemic and there's no business. There are numerous problems are being faced. In such a scenario, one of the component under the stimulus package was the taking care of the delayed payments. Okay, and the 45-day the window has been given to all the CPSEs and the government departments to make the payments for which the services and products have been delivered to them. So I'll tell you, we have gone quite far ahead in implementation. There's tremendous amount of positivity even from the buyers of the products and services. I'm talking particularly about the central government, CPSEs and the departments. We are also following up with the state governments, and many of the state governments wanting to come on board. We have been interacting with with them and trying to take the progress card as to what is happening. If a MSME is supplied the products, kindly make sure that the payments happen, and their states are also responding favorably. That's a positive thing that we have. Coming to the fear psychosis that the MSMEs has, as you said, you feel not to offend your business giver, simply because then he may not give you the business. Now, I'll tell you, this kind of scenario is not good, because expectations from the governments are there, but responsibilities of individuals are also important. As an enterprise, when you expect something from the government, you have your duties to be performed. Those duties are also required to be performed. If somebody is not behaving the way they should behave, then you should tell them that this is what the wrong is, and there is rules and regulations meant for making the payments in the stipulated time. Please make sure that the payments happen. And my plea would be, let the enterprises come on the portal, register their grievance, not in a very harsher manner, but in a subtle manner, that this is the outstanding, we are facing the pandemic, we are really in problem, there is a labor problem, this problem, that problem. There are plethora of problems that the MSMEs are faced with. And if you are able to articulate that well and in a subtle tone, I think that would suffice. It not necessarily that the government of India would share what have you returned to under your grievance, and there will be some kind of tussle happening and the business is going out of your hand. That won't happen. But I urge all the enterprises who have their outstanding to come forward in case the payments are not happening. So that's my quick response to your question on delayed payments. And tell you the fact, there is a tremendous amount of recovery that has happened during last 1.5 to 2 months.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, that's an excellent news, and I know this positivity which you mentioned is really important in this point of time. As you're saying, the recoveries are happening, and I completely agree. Government cannot go beyond a point and say now, okay, don't offend the customer, we will take. But there are some practical issues which I thought I tabled them. But I endorse your views that enterprise must go. But there are also mandatory requirements. Ajay will agree with. Is the listed companies have to also declare if they have any MSME outstanding in their accounts. But there are people who find some ways not to do that, and at the end of it, the small enterprise gets impacted. I'll now go to Ajay and ask him as to what are the listing requirements for a MSME kind of a person. And since we are sitting on a compliance 1010 platform, Legasis is one company which is specialized a capsule for only MSME people, wherein it's a SaaS-based model where they work on it, and which people have to actually take care of the compliances. Please explain to us, sir.
See, when this policy was being made, all were unanimously decided that let us create a framework where more and more SMEs should come and get listed onto the stock exchange. So what SEBI said that while framing the guidelines, what SEBI said that any company having post-issue face value capital up to 100 million rupees have to get compulsory listed onto the stock exchange. Any company having post-issue face value capital between 100 million rupees to 250 million rupees has the option either to get listed onto the SME platform of the stock exchange, or they can get listed onto the main board of the stock exchange. And above 250 million rupees, they have only the option to get listed onto the main board of the stock exchange. So this was the framework that has been created by SEBI. And besides that, there are some other, operational guidelines that SEBI has made, but it is related to the operational matter. Now, again, BSc, to create a proper framework, BSc has added few more additional criteria. And what BSc said that any company, not only fulfilling this SEBI criteria, but if they are in existence for 3 years, and out of 3 years, if in any year they have got operating profit with net tangible asset of around 15 million rupees, then they can get listed onto the main board of the stock exchange. So BSE has come out with 3 additional eligibility criteria. Number 1, their company should be in existence for 3 years. That's number 1. Number 2, in any one of the 3 years, the company should have operating profit. And third, their net tangible assets should be 15 million rupees. So these are the 3 requirements, and very soft requirement. Now in this, many people get confused when we say company. So for them, let me clarify that even the partnership, if the company is in partnership stage or in the proprietorship stage before converting into the company, then their track record will also be taken into consideration. Because we know in India, hardly 2% of these firms are into company form. They are private limited or public limited. Still 97 to 98% companies are either proprietorship firm or partnership firm, but they are doing well. It's not that they are not doing well, but they like to be in that shape. So that's why we have taken those track record also into the consideration while coming to this norm of 3 years of track record. So that's what we have. That's what the eligibility criteria. And if any company want to come under this framework, they can get listed onto the stock exchange. So besides that, what additional thing that we have done is that to keep the comfort level to the promoter or the entrepreneur is this, that the merchant banker has been given the additional responsibility of underwriting. So all these companies which are coming with an IPO, there the merchant banker has to take 100% underwriting into their fold. Tomorrow they can't say that because it has got subscribed only 60% or 50% or 70%, therefore they can't get the company listed onto the stock exchange. Okay, it is not like the main board. Here, the merchant banker has to ensure that once he opens the IPO, then the company must get listed onto the stock exchange. He can't take any excuse. So this is the additional comfort level that this framework, this guideline has given to the entrepreneurs and the promoters. So that's why we are always telling the promoters that such simplified guidelines nowhere exist. You can get listed onto the stock exchange, get the same visibility as large corporates are getting, because we are leveraging the same platform that is existing for the SME companies also. So they are traded on the same place where the large corporates are being traded. And at the same time, the clients who are investing into the capital market or who wants to invest in the SME issues, they don't have to open a new client account with the broker. So there is nothing such requirement. If they have got a demat account, if they are investing into the other company, the same demat account, they can invest into these companies also. So very simplified framework is there. Also, because we have in the capital market, liquidity is the essence. So we have also created a framework of market maker. This market maker gives two-way quote in these companies, so that if an investor wants to buy the share, he can buy the share. If he wants to sell the share, the market maker is there to buy the share if other investors are not there. So very transparent, very simplified. At the same time, some sort of liquidity is also there. And also such investors who have got deep pocket, who understand the company, comes and invest in this type of companies. So even in this COVID era, if you see, most of the, even on the large board, there were no IPO coming. But since March, we have got 10 SMEs listed on our SME exchange who have raised almost 62.5 crores. So on an average, 6.5 crores they have raised. And we have also got 2 startups listed, because last year only we have also launched the startup platform. So 2 startups also got listed who have raised almost 8 crore rupees. So these things have happened even in this COVID times.
That's very well said, Ajay, and I think that gives an hope, saying that one day we also will be something similar to Singapore in terms of SME, who are playing very important role there. and that was because government also played very important role. Now we are coming almost close to our session. Before I wind up, I request Anandji to give his message to the uh, entrepreneurs who are attending this webinar. What should be they doing? What is how government is open to support them, and what is the vision at the end of it for the SME sector?
Well, my message is very clear. The government is for the people, and if you look at the kind of things which have happened during last couple of years, uh, in terms of change of definition, bringing as of today, almost 97 to 98% of the economic activities have now falling under MSME domain. So you can understand how the Ministry of MSME has been, changing over last couple of years. We are trying to reach out through various means. The very stimulus package, 3 lakh crore, is a testimony to the fact that we are very serious. The government is very serious about its role in reviving the MSME sector from the COVID pandemic. Important is that the MSME entrepreneurs must come forward and take the benefit of all the schemes that the government of India, not just Ministry of MSME, but there are various other. It's spread all across. I mean, it's not Ministry of MSME does not have the total control. Every other ministry has got its reach to the MSMEs. So entrepreneurs should be very forthcoming, understanding what is there for them in the entire scheme of things, and the new initiatives they need to understand. We are, as a matter of fact, reaching out through various means, like we have recently started a champions portal. Now, the Secretary Ministry of MSME is very keen in developing the champions within the MSME domain. He wants the micro and small to go to the global arena, and we are also coming up with Indo global joint venture events. Now, those are going to be will be unfolded very soon. That is the very essence of taking the Indian MSMEs at the global platform. Now, these joint ventures invariably would have various aspects would be taken care of, like the technological issues, the venture capital, the angel capital funding, and so on and so forth. There are various nuances with respect to the enterprise. So what my message is that entrepreneurs should come forward in large number. The other initiative I just forgot to mention is the creation of enterprises all across. That's enterprises in the sense enterprise development centers. So I'm sure these enterprise development centers would do the requisite handholding of the would-be entrepreneurs and the existing entrepreneurs. I believe that in next 6 months' time, all these enterprises at the district level would become functional, and they should approach either they must be housed in the DICs, or they must be housed in the MSME offices if the district has one, and then would do the mentoring and handholding part to see that they are successful whatever they intend to do. So this is my short and succinct message. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. It was very positive message and positive note. I'm sure the members who are attending today would take benefit of this. And just to add something, I would like to brief all the members who are attending today. Legasis is ready to take lead in collecting all your requirements and approach MSME ministry and facilitate the entire process of approaching MSME and take the benefits. Ajay, would you like to give the message to people?
I think, we all need to understand, all the stakeholders, need to understand that the MSMEs are the backbone of Indian economy. They are connecting the, rural sector to the urban sector, tier 1, tier 2, 3 cities to even tier 4 cities, and, create a smooth and distributed employment. BSc has taken a big step, and what I request to the entrepreneurs that you all are skilled people, you are real entrepreneurs, you can run the business even in the odd times. Only thing that this country requires is visionary people. The businessman needs to be visionary. They should scale up their businesses, and they should bring the best infrastructure, adopt the best technology, do all sort of compliances, and maintain the positive cash flow in their business. I think if these best practices are adopted into the company, I think no one can stop them to become large corporate. And as far as BSc is concerned, we will always give them red carpet welcome to get listed on our SME platform, so that they can become big, they can become large, and they can migrate to the main board of the stock exchange and create a lot of employment in the country. In fact, India requires large corporates, large mid-size, small-size corporates in this country. With these words, thanks a lot.
Thanks both of you. It was wonderful talking to you, and it was very enlightening that the information which came through. And I'm sure the audience which is attending today, largely SME members, would take the benefit of the knowledge which we have shared. On behalf of Legasis, I thank profusely, because it was wonderful interacting with you. And I wish everybody to stay safe and follow the social distancing norms, so that we are all safe and we come out of this pandemic soon. Thank you so much again, and look forward to see you sometime in the future.
Thank you, panelists, for your time. You may join our panelists for a live question and answer session in the breakout room.